Shri Vishaka Namaskar. Hare Krishna Prabhu Dinabandho Jagate Gopisha Gopika Karita Radha Namaste Taptanta Gaurari Radhe Vrindavani Keshavani Sukhi Devi Bhagavanamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpatariyascha Radhastami Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda Sunyavadi, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, approaching the subject, describing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the combined form of Srimati Radharani and Krishna, is just like a dwarf wanting to catch the moon. The subject matter is so vast, so great, so beautiful, so unlimited, that there's no possible way an ordinary living entity can come anywhere close to doing the proper justice to describing the supreme absolute truth, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Yet, because he is duty-bound and urged by his superiors and contemporary Vaishnavas, and all those who yet to have appeared, he understood that he is to embark on describing the transcendent qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for all Vaishnavas who have yet to appear. He, with utter humility, he undertakes this most sacred task. So that is especially the attitude that all of us are meant to try to cultivate in approaching any and all devotional service, and what to speak about speaking the authorized siddhanta or conclusion of pure devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Srila Prabhupada, he started this Krishna consciousness movement here in New York in 1966, formally founding the Krishna consciousness movement in July, and he performed his first initiations of disciples born here in America. First one was on Janmashtami, and the second one was on this day, 57 years ago, the appearance day of Srimati Radharani, Radhastami. Srila Prabhupada, he gave everything to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, but judging everyone's adhikar, that means eligibility. An easy example. If you have a little baby, you know, how old does a child have to be before they can eat a bite of regular food? I don't know, because I never had that experience. Anyway, you give a little child baby food, or even just liquid, so they can digest, because they have to grow and develop the necessary anatomy. So in the same way, everyone who has not performed devotional service sufficiently, understanding Krishna, what to speak of his internal potency, who is the supreme Mahalakshmi, the supreme goddess of fortune, the original source of all female forms. Well, simply stated, or number one must be free from all material attraction or sex desire. That is more or less the binding principle of all living entities, and all species of life for that matter, not just human beings, keeping them in this material world. Just a maximum security prison is made in such a way that nobody can break out, there's no trick, no clever device. So Krishna's maximum security prison has invisible bars. And even more, like in the prison, everyone thinks they're not free. And this is a terrible thing, but in the material world, everyone thinks this is so nice. And I'm free. I can do whatever I like in terms of the bodily conception of life. So, Srila Rupa Goswami, he glorifies Srimati Radharani as the object of worship for the topmost renunciants, the most elevated personalities. Sanaka Sanata Bharita Charite. She is not an ordinary girl. She is worshipped by all great sages and saintly persons. She is the source of devotion to Krishna and is worshipable for one and all. And that's what Srila Prabhupada taught in simple words on this day, 57 years ago. And he made it easy to understand. Krishna is very hard and strict, but Srimati Radharani is very soft and kind. So on Janmashtami, we have to fast until midnight. But on Radharani's appearance day, we only have to fast till noon. She gave, and Prabhupada gave this very amazing sutra, which everything is included. Radharani is the best devotee. Why? Because she loves Krishna the most. That's for the beginner, the intermediate, and the most advanced. In the Nectar of Devotion, the qualities of Krishna, one is given attracting Krishna. Now, one definition of Krishna we all know is the all-attractive, one who attracts everyone and everyone. But try to understand someone so great that they can attract and even bewilder the mind of the all-attractive. Madan Mohan, Krishna, who is the enchanter of Cupid, just one Cupid, can bewilder the entire material world and everyone bewildered by lusty desires. Arjuna, how is it that even a man of due diligence and intelligence who is trying to control the mind and senses becomes carried away, as if by force? There's a lot to say about that, but basically it is the attraction of Cupid. Even they have in Greek mythology, or Greek gods, that Cupid shoots his arrow and bewilders everyone. So Krishna, he's Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Sobha. He's attractor of millions and millions of such Cupids. He's Madan Mohan, the bewilderer of Cupid. But Srimati Radharani, she is Madan Mohan Mohini, the bewilderer of unlimited numbers of Cupids. Srila Rupa Goswami has stated that devotional service attracts even Krishna. Krishna attracts everyone. So when we become purified from material desires, and by performing Vaidhi Bhakti, devotional service and practice, we become free from the reactions to our previous karma. Then Krishna becomes very attractive. Krishna's deity form, Krishna's holy name, topics about Krishna, and perhaps most easy for everyone, Krishna Prashadam. But there is a chapter, number 15, in the Antya-lila, Lord Krishna tastes nectar. In other words, for an advanced devotee, tasting the Prashadam is filled with all types of very beautiful and inconceivable transcendental mellows. So hence, Srila Prabhupada said, we honor Prashadam. We don't eat Prashadam. We honor Prashadam. But devotional service attracts Krishna. The symbol of devotional service in the highest degree is Radharani. Krishna is called Madan Mohan, which means that he is so attractive that he can defeat the attraction of thousands of Cupids. But Radharani is still more attractive for she can even attract Krishna. Therefore, devotees call her Madan Mohan Mohini, the attractor of Cupid. Now, our devotional service, just see how personally connected it is to Her Majesty Srimati Radharani. To perform devotional service means to follow in the footsteps of Radharani. All pure devotees, they are representatives of Srimati Radharani, and via media to connect us all to her sublime and most elevated and exalted devotional service. Devotees in Vrindavan and everywhere else where one is performing devotional service automatically becomes Vrindavan, because Vrindavan is the mood of unalloyed devotional service without any ulterior motive. So if you perfect yourself in that way, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. They placed themselves under the care of Radharani in order to achieve perfection in their devotional service. In other words, devotional service is not an activity of this material world. It is directly under the control of Radharani. In Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that the Mahatmas, or great souls, are under the protection of Daivi Prakriti, the internal energy of Radharani. So, being directly under the control of the internal potency of Krishna, devotional service attracts even Krishna himself. There is a purport to a very nice section from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Jat Bharat instructs Maharaj Rahugana, that's the 12th chapter of the 5th canto. This is the 12th verse we're going to look at. O King Rahugana, the perfectional stage of devotional service, or the Paramahamsa stage of life, cannot be attained unless one is blessed by the dust of the feet of great devotees. It is never attained by tapasya, accepting the announced order of life, discharge of duties of household life, chanting of Vedic hymns, or the performance of penances in the hot sun, within cold water in the winter, or in the blazing fire. In other words, Lord Sri Krishna is the property of his pure, unconditional devotees. A pure devotee, therefore, never approaches the Lord directly, but tries to please the servant of the Lord's servants, and thus the Lord becomes pleased. And only then can a devotee relish the taste of the tulsi leaves at the lotus feet of the Lord. He is very easily approachable through his pure devotees. In Vrindavan, all the pure devotees pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Srimati Radharani is the tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole, resembling the perfectional stage of feminine, worldly, feminine nature. So everything in this material world is opposite. A very beautiful woman is meant to attract a man to what? Material life. And vice versa. Instead of being attracted to the Supreme Param Purush, the male, then we have men trying to attract the female. This is the opposite of devotional service. It is material life. So therefore, the goal of the truth seeker is to reverse material conceptions, desires, ambitions, and motivations to the desire to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That automatically reveals your real identity, which is meant to be enjoyed by the Supreme Enjoyer. That is spiritual life. Material life, I think I am the enjoyer. But in illusion, enjoying through this material body, this is what old age is meant to teach people. You cannot enjoy this material world. This material body is not a suitable agency or vehicle for for your actual eternal welfare and happiness. So, instead of decorating this material body with the vanity of all different types of egoism, the devotee becomes very beautiful by decorating himself or herself with the sadhu bhushana, the ornaments of a saintly person, the qualities of those who are lovers of God. And that makes them the most supremely beautiful personalities. Just like Srila Prabhupada. He came at a time when one of the watchwords was, don't trust anybody over 30. He was twice that and 10 years on top to begin with. But in the words of all of Srila Prabhupada's disciples who joined him as teenagers, as very young people with their whole life ahead of them, in the prime of their youth and beauty and attractiveness, he was the most attractive and most beautiful personality I had ever seen. We just observed, it'll be observed on the lunar calendar, but by the Roman calendar, Prabhupada's landing here in the United States on the 17th in Boston and on the 19th here in Brooklyn at the 17th Street Sunset Park Pier, which is now no longer a pier, but a back to God and home, back to Home Depot. You can drive in a parking lot and you can observe and you can be there. But always thinking of his spiritual master, Sri Varsha Bhadavi Dayata Das, the most dearmost servant of Srimati Radharani, he said, I emphatically say unto you, O brothers and sisters, that you will not achieve the mercy of the Supreme Lord unless and until Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. And how do we please Srimati Radharani in this time and place where we are? Good question. It is a very sublime answer. The answer is to dedicate yourself to the service of the representative of Srimati Radharani in disciplic succession, whose sole and only business is to propagate love of Godhead, love of Radha and Krishna, and the service of Srimati Radharani through the Sankirtan movement of their combined form, their loving union as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, via the chanting primarily of their holy names, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is the basis for all varieties of devotional service, its creation, its maintenance, and its profusion. All levels of necessity are included in this service to the Divine Couples Sankirtan movement. Primarily, the obvious need of the time right now is to help the population in general, to eradicate the mountain of sinful reactions they both individually and collectively implicated themselves in, which, as we were saying earlier, completely blocks any opportunity to understand Krishna as the all-attractive, and what to speak of the necessity of trying to please him. And in the most advanced stages of associating with the Lord's service through propagation of love of Godhead, one becomes the realizer of all internal truths and all intricacies of that service. Then, after glorifying Srimati Radharani and making it an imperative that this must be done, and your good fortune will not be achieved until this is accomplished, Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, my spiritual master, is that great saintly spiritual master who bestows intense devotional service to Krishna in various places in the world at various times. In other words, by the direction of such a pure devotee, by his desire, everyone takes their birth, devotees take their birth in certain families, in certain places, in certain countries, to come forward and assist in this great mission. By his strong desire, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, all the cities and towns of the world will chant the holy name of Krishna. And when that happens, everyone will be drowned in a flood of love of Godhead, and all simple reactions will be finished. And everyone will float in an ocean of transcendental ecstasy. And at such a time, then the true Vaishnava's desire is satisfied and fulfilled. Srila Prabhupada writes in terms of Dhruva Maharaj, very great devotee, who, as a child, 5 years old, wanted to get justice and revenge. Sometimes we're harmed, sometimes we're treated improperly, we want justice or even want revenge, tit for tat. This is not ultimately a pure motivation. But he was advised by his mother to go seek out Lord Krishna in the forest of Madhuvan, which is still existing today, and the place where Dhruva Maharaj performed his austerities. You can visit that today, one of the 12 forests of Sri Vrindavan Dham. I cannot help you, no one can help you. Only Krishna can help you. So Prabhupada says that for one who has suffered injustice and the tribulations of material life, forest going is compulsory. In other words, leave the material life and go to the place where you can concentrate your attention fully on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So for the Vaishnava, devotees of Krishna, the best forest is the forest of Vrindavan. And if one takes shelter of Vrindavan, where the queen of Vrindavan is Vrindavan Aishwari, then all the problems of one's life are solved without any difficulty. So just as Srila Prabhupada has instructed us during, on the occasion of Lord Balaram's appearance day, that we can go before her, Lord Balaram, and say, my dear sir, this is the difficulty, this is the problem, this is my impediment, my obstacle, the thing I'm having trouble with, please kindly help me. So similarly, we can pray to Srimati Radharani very, very heartfeltly on this day, please keep me somehow connected as an aspirant to your service, and one day, please introduce me to your Krishna. So we've gone to 8 o'clock, so I think I will honor the time sequence and stop here. And thank you all very, very much. Many of you are quite regular, part of Sri Sri Radha Govinda's congregation. All of us here in New York, we're actually very much family members in a higher transcendental way. So this is a very, very wonderful day. Srimati Radharani has come here along with her beloved Govinda to receive our service and to give us meaning and purpose to our life, to give us all necessary solace, understanding, forgiveness, comfort, support, everything. This is your home in that way to come and take their association, an association of all of us who are also like-minded in wanting to achieve the ultimate goal of life, especially in this very dark and dangerous age of Kali, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. When you're engaged in Sri Sri Radha Govinda's service, wherever you are in Goloka Vrindavan. You're not in heaven, you're not even in Vaikuntha. You're in Goloka Vrindavan, the personal place of Srimati Radharani and her beloved Lord Govinda. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And if anyone, a little personal plug before I end. If anyone wants to visit me in my loneliness on any day of the week, please come to Harinam Sankirtan. Especially now that it's coming upon winter and you will have to aspire to become subterranean saints down in the subway. Which is a whole ocean of nectar down there, because in 3 or 4 hours we can have 50,000 people come in here and receive the holy name. It's even a better opportunity than above ground. Hare Krishna.